Brought to you by Ride Clean. Mr. Jason, welcome to the Ride Boundless podcast. Thank you for coming out. 3-hour drive, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be worth it, though.
Yeah, definitely, man. I seen your dad's work. I've been going. Jaime Camil's been inviting me to the LAFCs. We work out every day. We ride motorcycles every weekend. It's the way that we do things. And I've been going there, and your dad was doing it last year. So you recently took over, or you guys switch, or
Last year is the first year that I fully took over,
Right.
and it was before that it was him.
yeah, yeah. And then is he retiring, or
Yeah, he's retiring. He's just enjoying time with his grandkids now, because taking care of these many birds and training as often as we do is a full-time job.
yeah? Now, when you say these many birds on the way over here, you said animals, and I clarified. You have multiple birds, dogs, everything in your home that you guys are always constantly training and stuff. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I have 4 falcons, 3 dogs, 1 hawk.
Oh my gosh!
So, and the hawk is a Harris hawk. It's a gregarious species, social bird of prey, and basically a dog with feathers. He's trying to fly to a laser. I use him for a lot of my educational work.
Yeah.
And just a phenomenal thing. But even when you have high-level dogs, so I have 2 Malinois.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're trained every single day. Like, I spend an hour or 2 with those guys. I hang out with Ollie, the red-nape Shaheen I use for LAFC.
Yeah.
I make my morning routine is making my coffee, having her on my fist, walking around the house, making my breakfast, and she's right here the whole time.
You got what do they call it? It's not just a glove. It's a what do you call
Oh, the
it?
fancy word's a gauntlet.
A gauntlet,
You can call
yeah.
it a glove.
Yeah, no, gauntlet. That was the word I was looking for, like your Thanos thing. I was Googling. So the first time I saw falcons was I was in Dubai, and I went to the desert, and we did the dirt bikes and quads and this, that. Then we stopped for some food and drinks, and they made it there in the desert, and the guy came out with the falcon, and they did the stunt. Can you explain what's happening during the stunt? Because I believe he makes it fly, he makes it dive. It goes, max speed, 240 miles an hour, making it the fastest, animal in the
Creature
world.
without a motor, yeah.
Yeah, without a motor. And what do you call it? He had a mouse in his hand that he's diving for, or that's how they did it over there. So what's your process?
So the basic idea is it's called lure flying. So you typically have the old school guys.
And I apologize. We have a guest here, my son here. I'm just going to tell him real quick. Madgo, can you turn that down a little bit? Thank you, my love.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
It's all, kids are more important than anything else. So.
Yeah, they're the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's called lure flying, and typically a lot of the old school guys would have a leather bird per se, right? It's just
Right.
a silhouette of a bird on a string, and you're swinging that around.
Right.
And that's typically how it was. And we're taking what they naturally do in the wild, and we're changing it 1%, 1.5% max. And the only difference is the prey for the guys over there. It's in Dubai. They're using the leather decoy.
Right.
And they're swinging that around, and the bird's trying to catch it. So for LAFC, I use the opposing team's crest on a piece of foam.
Right.
And Ollie, we actually try to slow her down when we're flying inside the stadium.
Because,
Imagine trying to look at a bird flying 200 miles an hour.
oh, yeah. Which is wild, because the videos that I was watching, like when I was watching these videos, I'm like, how did they even capture these videos? Like these cameras must have been high speed, crazy lenses, like 100 frames.
iPhone's amazing.
There's no way they can. You've caught it with your iPhone?
Yeah, all the videos we have on my page is all shot on my iPhone.
Wow. So
So
how do you make the bird slow down at the stadium?
it comes down to timing. So when I throw the lure out, for me, again, piece of the foam, I'm throwing it out, and I'm using both hands to accelerate it, and I'm trying to get within a foot of her. So I'm going basically to 0, and I'm trying to accelerate it to 100, 150 miles an hour. And so she's reaching forward with her feet, and her wings go out, so it acts like an air brake.
Right.
So that's how we know, for us, that's considered a perfect flight.
Right.
Versus if you look at the videos of the guys in Dubai and a lot of other falconers, they're swinging it, and the bird doesn't even really care. They're just stooping like they were trained to do.
Right. Because they have all the space. They're not locked in with the stadium. Now, the stadium doesn't distract the falcon?
No, it's very much like let's say you're raising your kid, right? You guys are in downtown LA, basically, right? You got all the noises and stuff like this. You take a kid that grew up in Kentucky that's never been in a town with more than 600 people, and you bring them down here, all the noises, stress is going to stress them out.
Right.
So that's the same thing with the birds of prey. So we imprinted the falcons here.
Wow.
So we were going to USC games. We were going to Chargers, Rams, NASCAR, like, Ducks, Angels, Dodgers, and they all were.
So it's all with you guys.
I'm sorry?
It's all with you. So
Yeah.
so there's probably like a handful of Falconeers in the area, and they call one of you guys up, and it's always you guys going to all these sports events.
Well, no, we reached out through the contacts through LAFC. It's like,
Right.
hey, we got these baby falcons. We need to imprint them to this chaos. Can we just come and hang out? Yeah, absolutely. Come back here. Let's go park downstairs. And, it's really cool.
That's awesome. So to talk about your business part of it, you don't work directly with LAFC.
I'm a contractor.
You guys are self-contracted.
Yeah.
Cool. And your dad has built these accounts over the years, and you and your dad have built this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you were telling me when we were making the coffee. How's the coffee, by the way?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It definitely has that stronger kick in it. Like Cuban coffee. Yes, it is fantastic.
Yeah. Thank you. But we were talking about earlier when we were making the coffee that you've started this around 5-6 years old, getting into this lifestyle with the animals and training, and you want to talk about your upbringing?
Yeah, I'm a second generation falconer. I grew up around this my whole life. I have baby pictures of me hanging out with my dad's birds. So we're just talking about one of my more fond childhood memories. So middle of winter, my dad sending me in the water like a dog in order to flesh a duck out that he was hunting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's the keys. The cards, it's where it's at. Yeah, about a half mile that way.
Yeah.
All right, remember how to start stick? Good. And that's what it
The
was.
good old days. Yeah.
So
you grabbed your bottle of tequila, your whiskey, you took a shot, got in the car. No, I'm kidding.
I wish. But I got suspended from kindercare actually for bringing in my American kestrel. It's a small falcon, about 3 ounces.
Yeah.
And I lure flew him inside the classroom, but instead of using a lure, I used a finch on a string.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And
the other 4-year-old.
They suspended you?
Yep. My dad thought it was
Did you say pre-K? No.
Yeah, kindercare.
Kindercare, wow.
Yeah, I was like 4 years old.
Holy smokes. Whose idea was that?
Oh, that was mine.
You were just like...
Yeah, that was my falcon. It was like the normal thing. We woke up in the morning and let's go hunt the falcon on the bird feeder.
Wow.
And we trained him we'd throw him like a baseball around the corner. So we had a backpack my dad set up for me as a little kid, and he had a little perch in there and a hood, and I just snuck him to school with me. Didn't think anything about it.
That's wild. Now I was looking this up. So they said practically you can get a falcon, you bring it into your home or your space, and in the dark you train it with the gauntlet.
Gauntlet, yeah.
Yeah. You train it in the dark or something, and that lasts for a couple weeks. And then once you do that, the birds pretty much will respond to you, something like that. What is the process of?
All right, so that is called manning. That's the most important part of falconry. This is where you either you make yourself a great bird or you destroy your bird mentally. So the dark thing, so about 70-80% of their brain capacity is dedicated to that optical input and processing it. So by going in that dark room, takes it down, less stimuli, they're going to be a bit more calm.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, because I've done it for so long, I've manned hundreds of birds, and it would only take maybe a day that we're in the dark room. Yeah, so we'll get the bird wet because they're heavier. They don't want to be moving around as much. And we're just positive association, right? So I'm petting the bird. I have some food. I'll have like a wing, and I'm petting them on the chest, and they'll freak out.
Now, how dark are we talking about? Like just lights out or?
Blacked out.
Pitch black.
So blacked out, and then we bring it up a little bit. They'll freak out a little bit. We turn it back down, pick them up, and just try to reset and try to manage that anxiety as best as we can.
Yeah. Now, what's with the helmet or the mask or the covers or the leather? What's the right terminology here?
Hood.
The hood. There we go.
So the only thing that's changed in falconry in the last 5,000 to 7,000 years is the telemetry we put on Ollie. Yeah. Everything else is the same. So the gauntlet's the same. The jesses are the same. The little leashes, the leather pieces that go on their legs.
Yeah.
So we can hang on to them. And the hood. The hood, it covers their eyeballs, and it's shaped to that individual bird's face. So, let's say we both wear a size 11. You can't put my shoes on and go run a marathon because you're going to get blisters and you're going to have hot spots. Right. Same thing with the hoods. Every bird has a different hood fitted to them. So, and again, by taking away that optical input, it calms them down, relaxes them. Think of it like a Xanax for a falcon.
Got it.
It just takes the edge off, let them calm down.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was just surprised it doesn't get annoyed or tries to pull it off or, you know.
At first, and then it becomes a self-rewarding positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
Hood goes on, I get to calm down, I get to relax, I get away from the anxiety.
Yeah.
So,
What about transportation? You just put him like in a bird cage kind of a deal, or does he just sit next to you, put a seatbelt on, and he's like, "What's up? Go, playing."
yeah. No, I have a special perch
Nice.
on my passenger seat, and you'll drive by me on the road, and you'll look into the Bronco, and you'll see the Falcons hitting shotgun.
Yeah, that you see, I was joking, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
amazing.
I do also have crates too.
Of course.
It's slender. It's about yay wide. It doesn't allow them to turn around really. So puppy pads underneath it, HEPA filter on the top of it, and it just allows safe transportation for the birds.
Right. What's your biggest concern with your birds? Like, let's just talk about a worst case scenario.
Getting eaten.
Getting eaten? Oh,
I've had a bird killed 10 feet in front of me. Nothing I could do.
your bird.
Yeah.
And that's like a hawk comes by or,
Yeah.
what?
So at the time, I had a male Oplomato. So it's a 200-gram falcon, about yay big, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 6 to 8 inches big. And he was flying back to the glove, and a Cooper's hawk, which is known as the Draxter of the bird of prey world, they'll do 0 to 40 miles an hour in 10 feet.
Wow.
Like, they explode. They're the ones that are eating on the bird feeder in your backyard. They're eating the doves.
Wow.
So, yeah, shot across out of the eucalyptus tree, hit my bird in the head, pierced its eyeball, it dropped dead 10 feet from me.
Oh, my goodness.
Quarter second. It was
Must have been
devastating.
Yeah, I was going to say devastating.
Yeah, it's like these guys are as close, as much family as my dogs are. Like,
What's the life expectancy of a falcon?
it varies on the breed, but let's say Ollie, because that's the most famous one I have. 20, 25 years typically.
Wow. What lives the longest? Parrots, right?
Owls live pretty long too. They live 50 to 70 years.
Yeah, but I think parrots are.
They're right up there too.
They're,
Eagles are up there as well.
I've been liking to do this lately, where I just here, this should be connected. ChatGPT.
Oh, I love ChatGPT.
Dude, do you ever talk to it? Just talk to it and go off.
I use it for all my research.
No.
Yeah, I have the premium for it too. I pay $20 a month for it, and it's just a little bit easier versus the you have the black dot on it right there.
Yeah.
So, no, you pay for the premium too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, dude, I talk to it all the time. Quick question. We're talking about falcons, birds. We're trying to figure out what bird lives the longest. How long do owls live? How long do parrots live? And does anything live longer than them in the bird species?
Parrots are known for their long lifespans, often living 50 to 70 years, with some reaching over 80 years. Owls can also have long lifespans, but typically live around 10 to 30 years in the wild, depending on the species.
The wild, yeah.
Some seabirds, like albatrosses, can live up to 60 years or more, but parrots, especially species like macaws, are among the longest living birds.
Yeah, for sure. No, I knew that because my buddy, he had a parrot that when he was a baby, and he's 45, and the parrot's still, I'm like, dude, yeah. That's the same parrot that you had a while ago. Yeah, so I was like, that's wild, man. These parrots last forever. Mm-hmm. But falcons up there, I wouldn't think they were 20 years.
Yeah. So this year, I'm actually going to get Ollie's baby sister and start training her as the next generation.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get some.
Okay. That's cute.
Let's see. How long do they live? Now, again, I was just researching on it. I heard once you have it, it's yours. You control it, you maintain it, and then after a certain time, people then release it back to the wild. Do you keep your birds the whole time, or is there at some point where you're just like, it's not cooperating that well, I'm going to release it to the wild?
So it's two ways to obtain your birds, and then that depends on what you can do with it. So a lot of game falconers will actually trap their birds, and in the U.S., we're only legally allowed to trap a first-year bird. The reason for that, there's a 90 to 95% mortality rate in the first year alone.
Yeah.
So by us taking that bird, there's little to no impact on the wild population. Yeah. And currently, like a lot of falconers are actually getting kestrels because their numbers are dropping like rocks the last 20 years. So when I was doing this more for fun before I turned this into a livelihood, I would get American kestrel. Typically a male. They're about a third smaller than the females are. And training it until the point where, they're a total killing machine. They hit sexual maturity about 2.5 years old. And I start flying them fatter and fatter and fatter until they go away.
Does it make sense for you to breed them?
There's a lot of the breeders, it's just retired falconers.
Yeah.
Like they can't go out on the field anymore and they want to be involved with it. So, but the input structure to do so, we'll have like a room like this, and we'll have it with its own separate heating, or keeping it around 82 to 85 degrees. Then you have your incubators and all this other stuff. And the investment is just not worth it for me.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm sure like anything, like breeding dogs or anything, there's a process. It's just better so it's just better. Now, do you purchase your birds?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I go to most of them, like I said, are retired. It depends on them. Let's say a Harris Hawk, you throw two of them together, they're going to breed like dogs, done. Right, no big deal. Those are $600 to $1,000, depending on some of the features you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you want a red nape Shaheen. I know everyone that's born in the U.S. every year.
Right.
There's that few. It's typically $5,000 for a bird. Oof. And 1 to 3 year waiting period.
Right. Well, wow, and there's a waiting period. Yeah.
So, because
where are people breeding? Is it in California? Is it out of state, or is it the country?
So we're not allowed to import a lot of animals anymore, just due to the 94 import laws that Clinton put in place. So
Clinton.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like, you can't bring in new exotic animals or anything like that. So we can work with what we have inside the states.
Yeah.
So, and there's probably, I want to say, 4 breeders that's doing Shaheens. So we're working better now together to make sure that we keep the bloodlines as healthy as possible. So an issue with the owls, because I've had a few of them myself, one of them died from cirrhosis of the liver, and he wasn't an alcoholic. Wow. It was...
That we know of.
Yeah. So it's just due to the inbreeding. I mean, mom is grandma, is also your sister too, and everything like that. It's like my mom's side of the family tree.
Yeah. So yeah, I can imagine the conversations at home. Who drank this? And the owls, who?
That's the dad joke for the day.
Yeah, that's the dad joke for the day. I told you the owl did. I told you it wasn't me, Pops. That's hilarious. Now, obviously you were raised and grew up with this. Is this what you've been doing the whole time? A falconer, or were you doing something and then you decided to switch back to this, or?
So growing up, I always played with my dad's birds. So it's my passion. I love doing it and just bonding with my father like that. I was his dog growing up, right?
Right.
But for me, so after, high school, I actually got into MMA, and so I grew up wrestling, got into jiu-jitsu, involved into MMA. Did that for 15 years, 10 years professionally. And then when I retired and, I sold my portions in the gyms that I owned at the time and needed to get away from the sport altogether. I had an injury and I could not be around the gym anymore. It was the way I explained it to people. It's like an alcoholic going to the bar to hang out with his buddies but not drink.
Right.
Like, he's going to fail.
Right.
So I could not be in that environment and not train and not have that mindset as competing at a high level. So I got out of it. My dad hits me up, goes, "Hey, look, I'm trying to start this business up, and I'd really love for your help on it." And at the time, I'm like, "Cool, we'll do this." And to substitute my income, I ended up going into hospitality and working there.
Nice.
So I learned lots of patience that way.
Yeah, I'm sure that's all patience. Professionally, UFC, what are the biggest difference of when you used to do it and what it is now? Obviously, we're talking about pay. Like back in the days, it didn't pay shit, and everybody knew this. And now it pays ridiculous amounts.
Yeah.
Is that like one of the number one things that has changed?
That, and also these kids are getting into it younger and younger now. Like,
yeah,
we were so back in the day, LA was the mecca of MMA. So if you look at the old school guys like Rampage, like Tito, God, I forget the dude's name. He had the 3 stripes right here. There was 3-4 gyms. Randy Couture and Boss Rutan owned a gym in LA together.
Yeah.
And then there was a couple of the Gracie guys and the Machado. Guys, yeah. So Gracie's and the Machados are cousins. Right. End up being a big rivalry.
Right.
So, and, so there was 4 gyms everybody trained at.
Yeah, and there wasn't anything else. Now there's like the Armenians are in it, the Russians are in it, the Gracies, Brazilians, everybody's involved in this. You know, even Cuba. You know, you had
Everyone and their mom has a gym now.
everybody has a
It,
gym.
it blew up like, the same thing. It blew up how CrossFit blew up and then all the other stuff. And it's just, it's everybody is part of it. Like you were talking about your Krav Maga, like, that really spread in the U.S. because of the MMA training. So the people that were.
Well, I think there was just. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because we were all about this stuff and we're constantly learning on how to maximize. Because back in the day, this is the best way to train. There wasn't any of that one. Is we get some boxing. I have this boxing coach over here. Like I used to go down to La Habra to go boxing. I was the only little white kid in there.
Wow.
So I remember 18, 19 years old. I'm 5'11", 142 pounds, and I had my Muay Thai shorts on going into this hardcore Mexican boxing gym. I got the piss beat out of me every day.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like they love dropping me, but they also respect it because I got up every single time.
Yeah.
So
it's back to the basic things. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that is going to definitely push you the limits, and you're going to get picked on and bullied on. But like, no. Like I said, I wish I would have got into the sport earlier. I was just never introduced. The Krav Maga interests me because I think it was what was it? What movie was that? It was Jennifer Lopez where she was getting beat up. It was a movie that she was in, and her husband would beat her up, and then she had to take self-defense classes.
Yeah, I know which one I remember seeing the preview for that one.
Yeah. So my ex was a TV news anchor for Univision, and she did the interview for Jennifer Lopez, and then she said, "Oh yeah, what we learned was Krav Maga," and then she took a Krav Maga class, and when she was telling me like, "Oh, it's this gun and self-defense and sticks and bats," I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool," We were flying a lot to Colombia, and I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of I want to learn these things." So that's how I got into that. But then you started doing the stretching, and then they had their CrossFit, and then you had the yoga thing, and I got into more stuff there. But this was like really much later in my life. So now I'm like, you know what? If I was to go back in time, I would definitely have taken up fighting or, gone into it more. But then, like you said, who knows what would have happened? It didn't pay much. And the chances of injury are.
Yeah, now it's treated like a real sport. So you have your off seasons. We're doing hormone panels now. Before it was every 8 weeks we fought. So I would literally have a fight, and if I didn't get too badly injured, and then the fight, I'd be back in the gym Monday.
Yeah.
Versus these guys now, like they're taking 2 or 3 fights a year.
Right.
So in my career, I had close to 100 fights in MMA and Muay Thai, and that was just the way it was back in the day.
Right.
So,
I was going to ask you a question about fighting and the technology and the training and the recovery, but that made me want to go back to the Falcon. I saw that one of the biggest technologies that they have right now, or that they're using in Dubai, is they're using now remote control airplanes and drones to train the Falcons.
Yeah.
Have you used that kind of stuff? Or
yeah.
What are the benefits and what are you focusing on?
So the hardest part of the bird's flight is the initial takeoff. So if we're able to, I approach it a lot like what I do with my own training. So if we're doing resistance, progressive resistance training, and just geeking out on that. So we would do getting a rope, putting it on there, and the initial, we call them jump ups. They're on a perch, have the gauntlet with some food on here, and they jump up.
Right.
And we'd have this thick 1/2-inch rope. And as they get up, it progressively loads them. So as they're building that inertia, because it's the first 1 or 2 beats is the hardest.
Yeah.
So have them jumping up 3 feet, and it's 100% effort every time is just exhausting.
Right.
That creates a lot of the explosiveness and acceleration. So now when we go to the drones, so you'll see them doing a lot of, it's different how they're doing it is they're chasing the drone, right? They have the lure behind them and they're chasing it. And that's building for top speed versus I want explosiveness. So it's the difference of, a marathon runner versus a sprinter.
Right.
I want the sprinter.
Yeah, because I think the one I was watching, they were racing the Falcons.
Yeah, that's a really common sport out there.
Yeah. Yeah, which is wild.
But, and because they're doing it just horizontally, the birds are on the whole time. And that's like you're running a, half marathon type of thing. Versus me, I've got a 2-minute show to do, and I want my bird just jacked.
Right.
Just no neck, kind of like
Creatine. Fuck, I'm kidding.
trend.
Yeah, trend. Yeah, all the good stuff.
Yeah, no, so Ollie is absolutely jacked, and she's really efficient on how she moves and how she flies around the stadium.
Yeah.
So that's also why I talk about getting her to slow down by using the lure, putting the air brakes on, because she has to accelerate again and climb again, and so she gets a really good workout because she's only flying twice a week, maybe.
Right.
So, like, and if we want to use the car analogy, so like the Harris Hawk, he's your F-150, right?
Right.
Not the new ones, but the old ones actually worked. Dude, Lightnings are garbage right now.
Yeah. I know, they're terrible.
So,
Yeah.
but anyways, as we digress, it's, super reliable. I can fly the bird 8-10 hours a day, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
Versus, some of my Falcons, I only could fly them once a day. And now as we get to this extreme level, Ollie's flying once a week, twice a week, maybe. That's your, Bugatti Elron. That's your, $50,000 for a set of tires,
Right.
type of thing. Like, you're not taking it out on a daily driver.
Yeah.
So, and that's what
How do you shop for Falconer? Like, I'm a stadium, and you guys had reached out to the to the stadiums, but like, how would one? What are they looking for? Like.
All right, so we'll talk about like are we talking about like the business side or like the entertainment aspect of it?
Both.
All right,
however you want to lead it.
All right, so a lot of my business is doing bird abatement.
Right.
So natural bird abatement, where I'm using hawks and falcons to create a hostile environment for wild birds of prey. Not wild bird prey, but wild birds. So blackbirds, grackles, crows, ravens, stuff like that. And we're creating a zone around it, and we're changing the natural behaviors of them. So a lot of them, so I'll reach out to a lot of cold calling for that. So for LAFC, you know how they have the wings and the logo and everything for it right there. So,
yeah, of course.
But so here, point it off. You don't have to take it off, but we can just point it. So we got the wings right here, and LAFC really wanted to try to figure out how to bring this forward. And the guy that built the stadium actually was at one of my properties. Right. So you see we're looking at the wings right there on it, right? And they wanted to incorporate some aspect of that in there. So LA is one of the first cities in the world to have Falcon boxes. So like the U.S. Bank building, stuff like that. And that was a really cool part of the tradition. So, they're having the owners meeting, and the guy that built the stadium for LAFC actually was a normal at one of my properties I do abatement at.
Yeah.
And he literally goes, I have a guy. I know someone. Because this is out in Indian Wells at the Renaissance Hotel Hyatt Grand Champion. And I saw him every year. We just called him the floaty guy. Super nice, him and his family.
Floaty guy, yeah.
Yeah, that's how we knew him. He was always in the pool with his floaties on, like the little like floaty noodle thing.
Right.
And having a beer.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. Never thought anything about it. Just nice to him and I'd see him year after year after year. So, and then he reached out to the ownership, says, hey, I got this guy. This is what he does. And I get a phone call from LAFC. You're like, oh, yeah, we want you to come down here, show us what you can do, and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get calls like that all the time.
Right.
Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, we'll go reserve the Coliseum. Can you be here next week, do this? I'm like, yeah, okay. Sends us confirmation.
Now you say okay because you get a lot of bullshit phone calls or
all the time. Oh yeah, we're doing this movie. Why don't you come down here? Okay, yeah. Let me know.
Sounds like very LA.
Yeah,
it's LA.
So
yeah,
there's a lot of empty promises. So I don't think too much into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, let me know. So just normal expectation, very low expectation out of it. Oh yeah, we'll rent the Coliseum out. We're this new team. We haven't started yet, and this is 2016.
Right.
Right. So the team isn't
like 2 years old by then. It was 2014, right?
Well, so we started 2018 was our first season.
Right.
And so this is 2016 is when they brought us out to it. And it's like, yeah, we'll go ahead and reserve the Coliseum for you. I'm like, okay, cool. So I tell my dad gets in contact, get all the logistics. And we drive down there, and there's a guy waiting at the ramp for our vehicle, waves us down. We're driving down onto the field at the Coliseum. And my dad and I just start laughing hysterically. We're going down the tunnel.
Right.
It's all the murals on the walls and everything like this. This is not real. This is not happening.
Right.
And the birds made us look great. We met all the owners, and they're like, yeah, this is what we want to do. Done. And I'm like, all right. And we start talking numbers, prices. Yeah, we'll need it.
You're like, wait.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, to just start, it'd be like 50 grand. All right, cool. We'll write you a check. Shit. Right?
Yeah.
So no one's ever done this before. What we do for LAFC, this was considered impossible. And, you know, they did shop around after we did that initial proposal and stuff like that and saw what the numbers were.
Yeah.
They shopped hard. So, and no one, and everybody just told them that's impossible. And
Because it was such a good price.
no,
Or it was too,
no.
yeah. It was
I'm expensive. Like
Yeah.
30 plus years I've been around this industry. My dad's been doing this for 50 plus years.
right. You guys have 80 years of combined. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, we have the resume. And not only do you have to be a animal person, but you have to be a people's person too.
Right.
And how often have you met somebody who can do both?
Right.
Right? So most falconers are very, very egocentric, and I don't associate with a lot of them because there's always like, oh, you don't know what you're doing. So,
Right.
yeah, I still get trolled. I still troll the community. Like I'll post videos or stuff from the flights and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, this guy has no idea what he's doing. You know, normal haters.
Yeah.
I love it.
Of course. Yeah. Which, I mean, if you want to answer the question, but do you have a favorite stadium and why?
Well, the LAFC is at the BMO Stadium is the only one we fly the Falcons at.
Okay.
Like I've helped out other guys that that do abatement contracts,
Yeah.
but that's Ollie's home. That's where we fly Ollie at. So we actually were training. It's actually on my Instagram back probably about halfway through. Actually went to go fly at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
A wild falcon came down and tried to eat Ollie.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I called up some of the people who work for LAC and like, this is not happening. This is like, we're not doing this shit. Like just
Yeah.
no, we're done.
Yeah.
He was like, oh why? I'm like, go look at the reel I just posted. And literally this wild falcon comes out and you see, and I'm holding the camera recording it because this is a really cool moment. I'm like, we're about to go fly. And this was actually for CompuCaf a couple of years ago when they had it over at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So it was a couple days before and almost got eaten.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, all right, cool. That's not ever happening. BMO's is her home. We're never flying her anywhere else out than that, which sucks for like the training thing because I'm driving 2.5 hours to fly for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
1 to 2 times a week when we don't have a match.
But at least you're enjoying the games, right?
I'm working the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because after that, then I'm doing a lot of glad handing. I'm meeting possible sponsors, this and that. So they've really taken what we do and rolled it into their business model as well too. Hey, we've got these VIPs. We got these people from Vietnam. So because I speak a little bit of Vietnamese as well.
Really?
So yeah. So it's like, all right, cool. I'll go hang out with them, and it's really funny when you got this, 220 pound, 6 foot white dude. It's come up and like, Xin Jiawan.
Yeah. What the? Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm a foot taller than everybody else.
Of course.
So
yeah, they're flipping out. And why do you speak Vietnamese? Girlfriend.
Girlfriend, yeah. So I was dating this girl, and it was really so I can communicate with her mother.
Yeah.
And we got along great. It was a great relationship. I'm like, hey, I really want to do this because I'm talking to her mother through her daughter, and I wanted to be respectful to her. So that's why I started taking the lessons, and we broke up. And I'm like, I'm just keep working on this and keep developing the skill set because I really enjoy it.
Right.
And I've got 9 months of probably about 2 hours a day of practicing on this right now. And I was like, I'm just going to keep running with it. So
get another Vietnamese. Why do I feel terrible saying Vietnamese? Vietnamese, right?
Vietnamese, yeah.
I feel like I'm saying it with an accent or something. Vietnamese.
Yeah. So yeah, Vietnamese. So.
Yeah, get a new girlfriend and like show off. Yeah, why not?
No, so I'm still working on Vietnamese. I'm working on my Spanish because a lot of of soccer fans are Hispanic
speakers. Yeah,
right. So it's like, and I feel really bad, and I want to be able to connect it because before the matches, I'm out there for like
you can learn Spanish easy.
Bro, I'm struggling.
That's crazy.
I'm so frustrated. Like I have my tutor. It's 3 times a week. I'm practicing 1 to 2 hours a day. I meet with her, and I am struggling because I'm learning proper Spanish too.
Right.
So, and I just learned it the other day. Like normal street, Like they refer to it as like dirt Spanish
Right.
versus proper. And even like my barber, he's like, and we were talking about it and this exact same thing. He goes, dude, because I grew up around it. I grew up in Fresno. Like
Right.
it's
Yeah,
heavy.
Fresno's
It's
heavy,
like
yeah.
55% Hispanic.
Yeah.
So every school I went to, all my friends, like they were all Hispanic or they were in our groups.
Right.
So, but I grew up with, dirt Spanish is what I learned the term was. So that's what at least my tutor calls it.
Yeah.
I can be wrong. Don't hate me.
Now, that's interesting. It's so difficult for you. That's interesting because, being in California and stuff like that. But I guess a lot of people have been raised around it and they haven't been able to master it. They have difficulties.
Yeah.
But
I have memorized phrases. I can interact. If you want to talk about the bird, I know all the different parts of the bird. Video.
oh, there's a video that I found like 18, like it's like when YouTube was like barely new. And it's this one guy that took a Spanish, he took 1 semester of Spanish class. And he took all the words he learned and made it into a love song. And it's called the 1 semester love song.
Okay.
And now I think he has a part 2. But these are all old, but it's hilarious, dude, because it's every word. It's like the song goes like, "Hello, señorita, ¿cómo te llamas? Me llamo Mike, la 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 la, ¿dónde está el baño?" But it's every word. And if you learn that one song, you're gonna be like, "Oh, well, there it is," So it'll help. You know how they say with music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, are you watching like Spanish television or talking to Spanish friends? Or are you trying to speak to people in Spanish at the stadium and stuff like that?
I've always done like my Spanglish thing at the stadium, but I'm trying to use more proper Spanish.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell there's a lot of as, or then, because my right-hand man, so like we talked earlier, so I replaced my dad and I needed somebody to replace me. So that's Rachel. She's my right-hand man. I can't do anything without her. She's absolutely awesome. So she's a native Spanish speaker, and so she's helps me a lot. Or after I talk to somebody, she goes, "Well, this is the words you should have used instead." So she helps guide me through it.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I speak pretty damn good Spanish, but even hanging out with Jaime is a Spanish actor and does telenovelas and does this. And then when I speak to him or hang out with him, I noticed I'm saying bad things. And I'm like, bro, did I say that right or wrong? There's another one, chat.
Really?
Oh, dude, I'll mess around. I'll mess around. I'll be like, ChatGPT, let's talk in Spanish. And I'll be like, all right, let's talk in Spanish. And I'll be like, mire, lo que tenía una pregunta de esto y lo otro, que sé yo. How do what's the proper way of saying this? And I'll be like, oh, the proper way of this is doing this way, and the non-proper is this way, and it's like for Spanish.
I'll revisit that because I tried it with Vietnamese, and there's a northern and southern dialect.
Yeah.
So I had to tell it everything and break it down. No, that's not correct. That's not correct. That's not correct. And then after tailoring it, then I finally was able to use it, and it just wasn't that useful for me.
Yeah.
I'll try it, but since Spanish is far more prevalent.
I was in the car with Jaime the other day, and I was like, all right, talk to me in Spanish in a Chilango accent, which is like a city in Mexico, right? And they talk a certain way, and it started talking to Jaime in that way. And then I was like, all right, talk to me like a Cuban. My background's Cuban. And it started talking to me like a Cuban. Then I was like, well, talk to me like a Cuban from Miami. And then, because it's a little bit more ghetto and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it started talking to me. And I was like, dude, this is insane, And then I'm watching, actually, that's another one that you might want to get into if, I don't know, for Spanish sakes, but that Spanish is so difficult to understand too. Alpha Males on Netflix. Have you heard of that show?
I actually don't have a TV.
Oh, wow. Look at you.
So no, it's the ADHD, like I hyper focus. Like if the TV's on in a room, I'm useless.
Right.
I don't care. It could be daytime soap operas, right? I will zoom into it and you will disappear. So
Wow.
so I have a TV. It's sitting on the ground in my living room. It's not connected to anything. It's not on the wall even.
Oh, wow.
Actually, it's still in the box after I moved.
Yeah.
So, but that's just the way to make it harder for me to, get sucked into that stuff because I have so many different projects I'm working on.
So did you catch yourself getting sucked into the television? You cut it off, or did somebody bring it up, or the Vietnamese girlfriend told you?
No, I grew up, and I always had that issue, and it was a family joke. Oh, the TV's on, Jason's not here.
Wow, that deep, huh?
Yeah. So, because I was married and my ex and I, when we split up, I encouraged her to take the TV. It's like, all right, this is what I want to do. Because I don't like excess furniture. I don't like excess distractions. Like I love working.
Right.
Like my work and my play is the same thing.
Yeah.
So, and
That's a good habit.
yeah. So, and that's what, and I've just been over the last, this was like 21, we broke up. And it was just the way I did things after that. And it just made me more efficient and made me better. And I elevated myself because of it.
Nice.
So
Nice. So you saw it was an issue, and you liked the reward from working more than anything else. So therefore, you don't need TV.
yeah, I've got hundreds of projects I'm working on constantly. Like we talked about, like the custom watches, right?
Yeah, actually, we should jump into that too.
If you want to, yeah.
I would love to. So custom watches. So that's another project that you have. So you made this watch.
Yeah. So this was the first one, and I kind of did so this is from a watch company, and they sent it to me to do a review and put it all together myself and everything, and I gave them some feedback.
This is beautiful. Looks like a Rolex or
so that's based off of like a Yacht Master.
A Yacht Master.
So that's an NH70 movement. So if you flip it around, so that's what we call an automatic watch. So this is the rotor right here, and as you
Swiss
move,
movement.
I'm sorry.
Swiss.
No, that's a Japanese movement. So
Japanese movement.
Yeah, it's a Seiko movement. I really like them for the price.
Seikos are amazing watches.
So that's an NH70 movement that's in there, and I want to be doing a black and gold theme one, obviously LAFC.
LAFC.
So, and it's going to be based off something similar to that. So skeleton eyes. It's an NH72A2 movement, I want to say, which is basically the same movement as in there, but it's gold plated.
Beautiful.
So, but this is sapphire glass. It's
so it's got all the bells and whistles. Sapphire glass. It's not GMT, right?
No, not this one.
Not that one. Water resistant.
Yeah, 200 meters.
200 meters.
So, and if you mess with take this off right there. So this will actually twist out.
And it locks in as well, or
yeah. So it has a gasket on there and it's threaded. So it's 200 meter rated and sapphire glass in the front and the back of it. And I beat the hell out of that watch. So
I think I've seen this company. They send it to you in parts and you put it together yourself. Yeah. And it's a Japanese company. I like
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Yes. So,
I like how you could see through it.
Yeah, that's something I really like with that one. And this is actually something I bugged them for a while to produce.
This is awesome. I love the rubber band.
So we'll give them a little shout out though, because I mean their customer service was solid.
Yeah, here, let's get it closer to the camera.
Yeah, so this is from DIY Watches. They're based out of Hong Kong, and most of these parts they all come from most watches come out of Japan. Most of the movements come out of Japan. Out of China, and this came out of the back door of one of the factories that make a very famous watch brand. I'm not going to go shout it out because I don't want to get yelled at.
Yeah.
But
no, send me the information. And then right now, as you were talking about, I'll put like the website or something on the bottom.
So
why not?
Yeah. So it's just DIY watches. And it's a good company. Like the customer service is really good. So they sent me one. Right. And there were some issues with it. And I was really upset over the whole thing. And, I let my emotions get a hold of me. Uh-oh. And I apologized later to them. It's like, I apologize in the email if I came across short. It's just I was really frustrated because there is a stain, a fingerprint stain on the not just the rotor, the back part of it, but also on the movement too. And you're not supposed to have fingers on or anything like that. So they didn't catch with the quality control. Hey, Jason, we're so sorry. You know what? We're going to overnight this to you. So it's a $50 for the movement. No, they charge $100 for the movement, and they overnighted it from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And I got it 2 days later.
Wow.
So, hats off to them for their customer service. Like, they took care of it. And, yeah, I was doing the review on one of my stories, and people were hitting me up. Oh, I want this. I'm like, cool, let's go make one.
Yeah. How long did it take you to put together, to assemble it?
If you have all the parts and you know what you're doing, 45 minutes.
Oh, nice.
So, this is something
if you don't know what you're doing?
A couple hours.
Yeah.
So, I gave them some feedback. I really hate.
How much patience do you need?
I mean, you got a child and you haven't murdered them yet, so you're good.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of patience because there's a lot of little pieces and taking your time and making sure it's correct. So their website instructions, because it's through, you have to have this membership after you buy it, then you get access to here, and it's just really poor to navigate. So I gave them some of the feedback on there. Hey, change this mobile version's wrong here versus on your browser, etc. So have they changed it? I don't know.
Right. How do you how much of an impact did it create since you assembled it that you like the watch that much more?
I think it's a good experience for anybody.
Yeah.
And I have an open invite. Like, if you want to build a watch, like, cool, we'll design it and we'll go over the parts. They'll be here in a month and come over to the house and we'll have a barbecue and we'll go make a few watches. But no, I've made my own watches for a while, and this is something
That's cool, like a little watch party.
Yeah. So, but no, it's absolute great quality, and we're going to be doing some really cool stuff here in the near future.
Nice.
So,
what other hobbies do you have, or what do you into?
lot.
A lot. You keep saying that. It scares me.
all right. So I run a nonprofit. Other thing I didn't mention too is I was in the Army Reserves. So after high school, I got into the Army Reserves. At the same time, I got into fighting. So healthcare.
Yeah, of course.
Main reason why I got into it. But a lot of my battles and stuff, and I see them struggling with like PTSD. So I started a nonprofit, and I teach knife making stuff too. So blacksmithing, knife making, fabrication. So I have a full metal shop in my garage. So I do that there. So it's like, cool, let's go make yourself a Damascus chef knife with an S grind in it, and really high quality stuff.
Right.
So we got that. I love cars. I love building cars, making cars. Currently working on 2 motorcycles right now. So I recently bought a 81 GN 400, which is a 400cc thumper, Kawasaki. I bought from one of my friends because she's moved to Austria, and I want to bring her vision for that bike to life.
Nice.
So yeah, so we have a color theme picked out. I'm going to just clean some stuff up on there.
So you're building it out, and you're doing painting and everything else. So you have somebody. Wow.
I have a full Cerakote set up in my garage. So yeah, I can go Cerakote anything under 3 feet.
Wow.
So
That's amazing. You know those the random, but you know what I just saw recently that I think is really cool is the those. It's like a steam cleaner, but it works off dry ice or something, and it just takes everything off. And I'm just so into watching it clean.
So
the
expensive.
older Harleys, they're like $5,000 or something, right? 7 grand.
Even to rent one, they're still super expensive.
Really?
Yeah, I looked into it. I'm like, that would be awesome. Because I have my bead blasting cabinet and not have any cleanup, and something I can throw sharp down and, just throw it away would be amazing.
Would be amazing, man.
Especially when I go pull the frames off those bikes and everything like that. Because I got the GN 400. I've got a 73 CB 200.
Yeah.
So a little vertical twin Honda. That's why when the gas shortage was, so there's this big restrictor plate in it. So I, pour and polish that because,
of course,
yeah. And there's just so much that I don't have a big enough space to bead blast it all.
Right.
So,
yeah, because bead blasting is messy, right?
Yeah, it's messy, and with Cerakote you have to be using aluminum oxide too.
Right.
100 grit typically, and around 50 to 80 psi, give or take.
Yeah.
And that's after you've gassed it, you got the acetone, you prep the surface, and then Cerakoting, and it has to be perfect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it's almost hypnotizing watching the what is it? Is it dry ice?
It is dry ice. Yeah.
It's like hypnotizing how much, because I seen it clean up like older, Harley Davidsons that like the motor was all faded out and the forks were pitted and stuff from the rust, and it's just like, and I'm like, dude, that's magic.
So the crazy one is actually if you go look in like the car restoration people, and then you got the they have the spray insulation for the sound dampening inside the unibodies, and you'll see it take off 1/2-inch chunks of this stuff, and it's just peeling it away and getting it down to raw metal.
That's insane.
If you think the Harley's hypnotizing, look at that, and these chunks are just popping off of it.
Have you been to SEMA before?
Not yet.
Yeah, SEMA's crazy, man. I've been going probably for like the past 12 years. And this last year that I went, or just this last November, man, the body shops or the equipment they have they have full robots, grabbing panels and taking dents out and installing into the back of the truck, full on, like it's insane. They hooked up cameras and you can see how the whole I mean, it's wild. Welding,
The welding robots are insane with that. Yeah, with the MIG welders attached to them, and it's just beautiful. Because on like the older bikes too, it's all splattered, and there's this porosity inside of the weld lines and everything like that. So
Yeah.
like the CB 200, like it's grinding it back. I'm putting new, like I tigged half the frame up already just to clean it up.
Yeah.
I love the aesthetics of the exposed bead welding, and just when it's dropped, you're stacking dimes on there. It's just
Yeah, beautiful.
sure I could bondo over and sand it, but I don't like that. I like the texture of it. You know what I'm trying to say, right? I'm just at a loss of words right now.
The texture of it, right?
Yeah, like the texture, seeing it. That's an art in itself,
Right.
because anybody can bondo.
Yeah.
Like how many body shops do we hear horror stories of?
Oh,
that?
terrible.
Oh yeah, here's a 6-inch dent that's in this car, and let's just bondo over it. Like,
Yeah.
so many custom builders do that crap too, and bikes they still do that.
I saw like I don't know what country it was, but it was like they had a BMW M3 or something. It was completely smashed in, and they just got they got what do you call it, bricks. They got bricks, like regular bricks, and then they filled it in with cement, and they got bondo, and then covered it up, and they fixed it. And towards the end, it looked great, but you're like, dude, you guys just bonded and put bricks in there. But again, that was a country that probably didn't have the right materials or anything like that.
Well, it's just the shops, because there's even here in the U.S. we got people doing that crap all the time, and we have access to almost everything, right? And it's shortcut, it's cheaper. Because
That's what it comes down to.
Well, let's go ahead and cut this part of the panel out that we don't have access to. Let's shrink and shape the metal. Let's, tack weld it all the way around. Let's sand it down, get rid of all the high spots on it, finish filling it all the way in and around, sand it down again. Yeah, you've got 100 hours into a freaking corner panel.
Right.
Like, or you get some bondo.
You do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
How did you get into that? How did you get into so many all these hobbies? Like, is this all your dad driven, or is this because of the military? Is it like
this is my family's always been like, my dad, my uncle has always been this way. Like we grew up poor. Like I remember eating the same can of refried beans for 3 days. Wow. Like my dad would go. It's not something he's proud of, but he's a single dad of 3 kids back in the 80s.
Yeah,
right.
Tough.
So he was going to school full time too. He was working on his engineering degree. So we were just getting by, and so he did everything himself. So we made Christmas presents by hand for each other. So
awesome.
Yeah. So like woodworking. So I remember making dolls for my sisters. Were they very good? No, but give me a couple 2x4s and we'll shape it, and put some screws into it, tie some strings into it, and you've got a little animatronic doll, right?
Amazing.
So that's just
priceless. That's better than any doll now. I mean, that doll right now, come on.
Yeah, but it was just out of necessity. And my uncle, my mom's older brother.
There's a difference of, like right now, if you have a lot of money and you do something like that, you appreciate it more. But when that's all you have, you're kind of like, you're not happy. It's not enough.
Well, it's time versus money.
Right.
We were poor, so we had no money, but we also had time. We did as a kids. My dad was working 8-12 hours a day. He was going to school. I remember I would go to class with him, and I'd be asleep in his advanced calculus class. Yeah. Right, and that was what it was back in the day. And my uncle on my mom's side, one of the smartest, dumbest men I've ever met in my entire life. He built race cars from nothing. He just eyeballed everything perfect. He can weld everything up. He can build the frames. He does the body shaping. And I loved spending time with him as a kid. Like, and he got free labor. It's like, cool, here's the standing brick. We're going to do this freaking bus right now. In the next 8 hours, there's this, this army of little kids, my cousins, myself, 6 to 9 years old, and we're standing on this bus.
Wow.
And that was fun to us.
That sounds fun right now.
It sounds horrible.
Oh, was it that horrible?
No, now it sounds horrible. Back then, it was fun because we got to spend time with somebody we really looked up to.
Yeah, of course.
So
because I'm at that moment with my son that I'm always looking for things to do, and I'm like, wow, that'd be kind of cool,
Yeah, and he'd love that. Like, let's do this, and then he gets to see like the painting of it and everything like that. And my uncle's a one-man body shop.
Right.
genius, but an idiot at the same time.
Yeah.
So he recently retired, and now I remember talking to him. He was like, "Oh, I'm in the money now." Because he retired and he's on Social Security.
Yeah.
And to him, that's making it big.
Yeah. He's like, I don't have to work and I got this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
yeah. That's crazy. What's next for you?
So launching the watch is the next thing I'm working on. The next major project after that, because I'm using the watches to fund the car build. So we're going to be getting because my niece is now into auto and she loves it in high school, so we're going to work on a car. So I had purchased a 99 986, which is a Porsche Boxster.
Yeah.
97 to 02, I think, were the years for the 986. So I bought one of those off my friend. It's at his property still, and we're gonna do a swap in it. We're gonna do an engine swap. We're gonna build it out. We're gonna do tube frame. We're gonna do custom aero on it and everything.
That's awesome.
So that's gonna be this summer. We're gonna be working on that project.
That's awesome.
So
and then you can take that to car shows. You're gonna flip it or
no? I was like car shows. Like we're gonna start with a K24. Are you familiar with the K48?
No.
So fantastic company. Unfortunately, the guy set back from working on this project. It was two K24 motors put into a 90-degree V, and we're talking 10,000 RPM V8 is the hot V8. So the exhaust came out on the inside of it.
Yeah.
So normally we see the exhaust on the outside of it. So it's on the inside, which is easier for running the exhaust and everything like that. And it looks really cool. So he ended up getting, it was Neutron Engineering is the name of his company. And he got really sick and he hasn't been able to work on the project. So I'm going to be doing something similar based off of that. So we're going to start with a K24 engine and all the motor mounts, everything's going to be the same. We're going to build a new bottom end, and there's already so many CAD files for it and everything. And so many shops are building, full billet, K24 engines, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's get the top end of that. We're going to make a custom crankshaft for it. And I reached out to a company that does AI ran injectors. So we don't have any of the timing belts. We don't have any of the cams. So you get ultralight rods, pistons in there, and you got a 10,000 RPM V8. And I really wanted to sound like the old school F1 cars.
Yeah.
So for now, we're just going to do a standard K24 engine in there, the same bolt pattern, same everything. We're going to hook that up to a TR90. 9086, so the new 9080, which is the transaxle that the new Corvettes are using. Okay. So they can handle the torque, they can handle the RPMs, everything like that, and it's a really easy bolt up. And since it's a dual clutch design on it, see, I got the crazy eyes because I'm hyper focused on this. Yeah. So
crazy eyes, yeah.
Well, I get like hyper focused. I'm like looking like this, like I don't blink. Yeah. I get really excited. So it's a dual clutch design, so you can get a stage 3 or stage 4 clutch pack in there, and if you get somebody that's really good at tuning, you can make it still a more enjoyable ride.
What kind of exhaust are you gonna install?
Oh, we're not.
No exhaust.
Straight pipe.
Straight pipe. What nice.
All right, so this is how you have to do it, especially for California. If you're gonna do something like this, so if you look at Daily Driven Exotics, DDE, down in HB, right? So they have an international license for all their vehicles, and since they're doing footage and they're shooting down here, and this is for a company purpose, you don't have to register the vehicle in California.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the emissions, the sound, anything like that. Are you still going to get pulled over? Yes. Are you still going to harass? Yes. But you don't have to register the vehicle here. You don't have to smog the vehicle here. So if you want to do a straight pipes, because we're gonna do an 8 to 2 into an X pipe, or sorry, a Z pipe. Yeah. And have that just come straight out the back. Wow. So,
but you're not gonna be able to ride it anywhere in California.
Oh yeah, I will.
Yeah.
100% legal too. So what you do is you can get a company. Let's say Montana, you get an LLC, or we have an LLC for the racing division of our company that we set up in Tennessee. That's where my dad is right now. Okay. So because he wants to.
So he left California, now he's in Tennessee.
Yeah, he's back and forth. Nice. But that's where he's established residency, and we now have an LLC, and we're starting a racing division of the company out there because we both love racing motorcycles and cars. Like, dragging knees is something that we just did.
That's beautiful.
So, And so he's too old now to get into the motorcycles.
We got a good hour. I do want to do a follow-up episode later on that will touch and more stuff. Maybe I'll go out there and check out the garage or whatever the case is.
Yeah, we'll hang out. We'll fly some hawks too. We got the Harris Hawk.
That'd be amazing.
Bring your son out there. We'll put a glove on. You guys can fly the birds. Like, I have an open invite.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
So
that'd be amazing. And then we'll talk about that. Where can people find you? What's your Instagram, website? Your contact information.
All right. So you guys can find me. LAFC Falconer is my main one. So forgingvets.org is my nonprofit. It's a 501c3. So if you guys donate to that, it helps me out, buys me equipment for the guys, because with the veterans, we do not charge them a penny. And even when I have civilians come in, like, I just ask to cover your costs. That's it.
Right.
You want to build a blade, cover the cost. I'm not trying to make money off of this. This is a passion. I love doing this stuff. I love teaching it. And once the watches go live, so it's Archeon Chrono Tempest. Once that goes live, then I'll have the links attached to my LAFC Falconer page. But follow me there. You get the updates. You can follow all the stuff we're doing. You guys have questions, shoot me a DM. Like, I love this stuff, if you couldn't tell. So
that's awesome, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate the drive you came out here. I appreciate your patience. Sorry about the surprise. And
dude, like you said, they're the future. Kids are awesome.
Yeah.
Like,